Hello everybody. This is lesson 10 of the lecture International Economics. I will discuss slide 180 to 185 of chapter 1 International Trade. In this section I will describe the experience early export-oriented countries had made with this doctrine. South Korea was one of the first countries to implement in the 1960s reforms that led to a transition from an import substitution regime to the trade policy called export-oriented industrialization. The policy was quite successful. From the year 1963 to the year 2003, its real per capita income grew by factor 10. Relatively soon, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore followed South Korea. These countries became known as the four East Asian tigers. In the 1970s and 80s, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and finally China followed. All these countries achieved high real GDP growth rates, which went along with high export and import shares in GDP. Whether this success was mainly caused by free trade is, however, disputed. The success of these countries, nevertheless, is seen by many as evidence that a successful development of a country is possible without import substitution policies. This diagram displays the development of real per capita income for the so-called East Asian tiger states, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, as opposed to typical import substitution countries like Brazil, Kenya and Pakistan. The significantly better growth performance of the tiger states is, I think, quite obvious. This diagram shows the shares of the gross value added of various industries in total gross value added of South Korean manufacturing. Interestingly, in the course of this growth process, South Korea did not deepen the specialization in its initial comparative advantages in low-tech industries like food and textile products. Instead, it successfully increased the share of medium-tech and high-tech industries in the total value added of its manufacturing sector. As this diagram reveals, the share of low-tech industries has fallen from 40% to roughly 20%, while the share of medium-tech and high-tech industries has risen from 32% to nearly 50%. According to the OECD definition, high-tech industries are industries with a share of research and development expenditures in gross value added larger than 20%. These are industries like air and spacecraft, software publishing, pharmaceuticals, computer, electronic and optical products. So these all belong to high-tech manufacturers, this bright yellow area here. Medium high-tech industries have a research and development share and gross value added between 5% and 20%. To medium-tech, high-tech industries belong industries like motor vehicles, medical instruments, machinery and equipment, electrical equipment or chemical products. It is this orange area here which represents these type of industries, the share of these type of industries in total gross value added of South Korean manufacturing. So the development of South Korea was not locked in its initial comparative advantage in textile and food production. According to research in the economic development of South Korea, the government-led expansion of the education system played an important role. A higher share of high-skilled workers helped to shift the comparative advantage of South Korea towards the high-tech industries. The theoretical justification of export-oriented industrialization policy is in principle based on the same arguments as the free trade doctrine. The literature is, however, controversial concerning the question to what extent active industrial subsidies were involved in the success of the import-oriented industrialization countries. Recent work attributes a large part of the growth success of these countries to a stable legal system, high domestic savings rates, and government-led expansion of the education system. So much for this lecture. In the next lecture, we will analyze the criticism from the anti-globalization movement against the free trade doctrine.